Good morning. I'm going to give it a minute while people come in, turn things off. Holy crap, the light just got really bright coming in through that window. Wow. Okay, let's see. Hope you guys are well this morning. Man, it has been a morning of service. Let me tell you, a morning of service. Indeed. All right. All right, everybody. It's been an intense morning already. I've been working with a few of my clients and friends and loved ones, and wow, this stuff is coming through strong right now. Morning, Jante. See you there. Hey, Jesse. Right? It's been a day. Can you see that light over there? Okay, like, I just want you guys to know the sun is over there. Like, that's intense over there. Wow, that's so intense. I'm going to see if I can try and turn it a little bit. Oh, okay, so I mostly slept, but I think that something was there. It was, last night, Jesse, something woke me up, and I felt like my foot had been operated on. It was really weird. And I was up at 6, like, up. And so, yeah, I did sleep. I got better sleep than I have been getting. And I think I only woke up about 2 or 3 times. But, yeah, something's going on. Something is going on. Like, seriously. It's been an interesting morning. So, you guys, today is Q&A Friday, and it's all up to you guys, what you guys want to know about, what you want to hear about, what you want to talk about, what kind of card pulls do you guys want to do. There's one thing I want to say before we jump into it, and it's kind of a continuation of yesterday and of the shadow work. I was talking with a student of mine, student/friend. Good morning. At 4:30. God, that's brutal. I can't even. Oh, God, that's brutal. Pratik was up pretty early this morning, too, actually. I mean, I was up at 6, and he was already up and moving around, and somebody had messaged him at 6, and I'm like, dude, you need to come turn your phone off. Good morning, Margaret. So yesterday we talked a lot about shadow work, and I do a lot of work with people on working with their fractured states, working with the pieces of ourselves that we've decided are unlovable, that are unacceptable, that if they're part of us, then we won't be lovable. And that's what the whole mirroring system is really all about. You know, we talk about the law of attraction, and the law of attraction is really based on that. Man owns a square house, all 4 sides face south. A bear walks by. What color is the bear? Oh, Jesse. So, with the law of attraction, it states that you're going to draw to you everything that you need. So let's say you need to learn about self-love. Well, you're not going to draw people to you that love the you self. You're going to draw people to you that love themselves so much and don't love you, because that shows you what it looks like to not love the self. And it's actually that they're holding this fractured state of yourself, this little boy, little girl state of yourself that says, can you love me now? Like, can you love me now? Can I now be important enough? Can I now be brought in and be lovable? And a lot of us who are really sensitive and energetically awakening and kind of riding that headline of the curve, and this isn't meaning better or worse, it's just where we're at. We kind of birthed into the system to be those headliners, to be like, this is what it is to be selfless. This is what it is to be of service. This is what it is to facilitate and support others. Well, that means that we have a lot of lessons to learn about ourselves. So I'm just seeing the bunny was on me this morning, got a little scratch. And And by serving others, we tend to really shuck off any parts of ourselves that say, don't I get to be served too? Don't I get to be loved too? One of the things I've been working on a lot with people this morning, actually, with a kind of a dysfunctional collection of friendships and relationships, is that one is sacrificing for the other and hurting themselves by doing so. The other is manipulating others in order to create space so that they can continue and try to make another love them. And it's this whole convoluted mess. And it's that convoluted because their fractured states, their kid states, are driving all of their wheels. They're driving those buses. So the key when we're working with, when we're feeling triggered, when we're feeling confused, to not look at the other person. And my student last night said, I'm really struggling because I'm having this conflict with my brother. And we're fighting, and the things that I'm telling him are things I do, and he really needs to do, and it's not that that what he's telling me isn't what I need to do. I don't understand how this works. And so what I said was, you have to recognize that it's not what you're telling or what they're telling. It's the judgment that we hold around that person, that they're not good if they don't do these things. They are not doing their part. They are not valuable. I can't love them right now because of what they're doing. That judgment is what it is that you're judging yourself for, right? So in reality, he has it in his mind, in his heart, that I am not lovable if I don't do these things. So I have to do these things in order to earn that love. And he's having to see on the external this other person who doesn't do these things but still gets to be loved. And so his child state is in conflict with that. Why do they get love? They're not doing the things that earn love, because that child state is saying, can I just be loved? Can I just be held with love? Do I have to earn it? Do I have to do these things in order to get that love? So that's where it gets convoluted. That's where it gets confusing. It's not in the it's not in the things that you're telling the other person. It's in the judgments that you hold about them. And so much of our culture teaches us to not judge others, to not hold another person in judgment, that it's wrong, that it's bad. But could you imagine if a farmer didn't use judgment when deciding where to plant crops? If a farmer didn't go, oh, that part's all the way in shadow. I shouldn't put a light, loving crop there. Oh, this part, the soil, it's not. I have to judge this soil. Does it have enough nitrogen? Does it need more, whatever. We won't get into it. But what is the soil? It needs to be judged, evaluated. And he's not doing it in terms of saying this soil is bad. He's doing it in terms of how does this soil serve? What is best for this soil? What plant can serve the soil to bring it into more wholeness? That's why really good farmers are rotating their crops, because they know this plant fixes nitrogen. This plant uses nitrogen. They're creating an environment where everything is working together, and it takes some things and then some things, and some stuff has to take and some stuff has to give. It's the balance. So we have to get to a place where we do not say we're bad for holding judgment, but we have to use the judgment appropriately, not to diminish another person, not to say that person is truly bad. So when you're doing this kind of work, the shadow work, we don't do it with them in physicality. That's called fighting. That's when we're fighting with somebody. So one of the things that I tell my students and clients to do when they are ready to really get over a dynamic or a relationship or an interaction that they're finding unhealthy, unsafe, that they're ready to stop having, especially if it's one of those relationships where it's a pattern. Like for me, I kept drawing in narcissistic women to be my friends. And I would pick these women who were super strong, really powerful, really mighty, that would project their opinion out there. They never apologized for themselves, and they didn't like anybody. And I would feel like if they liked me, if they actually liked me, I was valuable. And I didn't understand this dynamic at the time. I just was doing it. And I didn't get that every one of my friends around me were like that. I didn't know what that really meant. And then I married somebody that was like that, like the epitome of that. And my husband, you know, I love him. He is an amazing man. And I use my personal relationship as an example because I think it makes everything so much more relatable. But my husband, one of his roles, you know, he's like both of my parents and everyone else in my dysfunction that I'm trying to heal and recover from, and my lover and my supporter, right? So he's kind of the whole package. And that's what I decided is I am sick of having everyone around me be the package that I'm learning from in this deconstructive and painful way. I'm just going to put it into one package. And that was why unconsciously I picked him. So with these friends, right? What was the deal? Like, why was I picking these women to be my friends who they would get angry at me anytime I sought support? They don't support me when I need it. They don't call me to see how I'm doing. They know I'm upset. They know I'm having trouble. They don't call to see if they can support me. They don't ask me what I need. And when I do ask for something, I get all of what they're dealing with instead, right? And I'm like, what's the deal here? Why are you so mean to me? Why don't you support me? Why don't you love me? That's my little girl. And she's like, you know, this is what you think. You think you want to be this. You think that you need to get this person to love you. And what I had to do was pause and pull back from those relationships and let my judgment fly. So I tell my students to sit down and write a letter. Either write a letter or write a list of everything you judge that person that you're in conflict with. Everything you judge them for. Oh, they're so selfish. They're so self-centered. They never ever think about me. They only think about themselves. They're so arrogant that they don't know what they actually know. They think they know everything. They can't listen to me. They can't receive me. List all of those judgments that you hold about that other person. Every single one of them. Until you can't think of another single thing that you judge them for. Then pause for a minute and reread this list. But as you reread this list, look at it from the perspective of, this is how I treat myself. This is how I treat myself. I believe myself to be arrogant, so I shut myself up. I believe myself to not be of worth of value, so I tell her she can't talk. We have externalized this little part of ourselves, this little girl. When I was young, my family all criticized me for how much I talked. My grandfather called me motor mouth. My dad used to tell me things like that I talk about stuff that I don't really know, because I would take all this information and I'd play with it, and I'd be like, it's all true, it's amazing. And so he was like, you're ignorant, you know. He would get angry with me about it. You need to research your facts better. You need to know better. And so I had that coming from everywhere. I am dyslexic. So I really struggled in school with writing, with reading and writing. I struggled to remember what I read. I struggled with spelling. And my mom was like, you know, you're too smart to be having these problems, to be getting these grades. And my brother, who didn't have any learning disabilities at all, you know, he would get paid more for B's and C's, we'd get paid, than I would get for A's, right? Because I was smarter, so I should do better. So there was all these judgments on my little girl around her intelligence, and I was always told, my mom called me the village news. You know, so all of the stuff was all wrapped up in there, and that little girl decided that if she talked a lot, that if she was strong, if she stated her opinion loudly or clearly, she wasn't lovable. She was bad. She was a bad girl. So she had to live outside of me. I rejected that girl. Then that girl would show up in these women that had those traits, that had all those traits, and she's like, okay, here, can you love me now? What about her? Can you love me now? What about her? You love her. Can you love me now? Do I get to come inside and be a part of that? So that's the shadow work, really. Oh, Jesus, God, get the belt or good grades. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. I mean, whew, ouch, Jessie. I'm sorry. So we have these parts of ourselves, these fractured states, and they drive our experiences by drawing to us people that serve as this, like, I call them puppets, right? They're like these, and I love people. This isn't a dismissal or a diminishment of individuals at all. But they serve us as a puppet to say, do you love me now? That's it. That's all they are, is a vehicle to bring those fractured states back to us. Now, the people that are surrounding me are people who are just like, oh my gosh, I love you. You're amazing. I enjoy you. You inspire me. I feel creative with you. I feel supported with you. I feel love with you because I love me, right? And that's how we shift the external. We can't point our finger. It's like Bashar says. You can't point your finger at the mirror and yell at it to smile and expect it to smile back at you. You have to smile at the mirror. And then the mirror can't help but smile. And so if internally your relationship with yourself is scolding, is critical, is full of negative self-talk, is full of judgment and blame of self. If you're sitting there and saying, nobody loves me because I'm this, because of this, because of that, then that's all that the mirror can reflect back to you, is judgment, criticism, and blame. And we want to make that mirror stop blaming us. But first we have to stop blaming us. So that's the continuation of this shadow work that I wanted to get into. If you guys have any questions, this is the time to put them out there. Anybody wants a card pull, let me know. Chris, you know, it's so funny you say that. I've actually just had a bunch of people recently tell me that I needed to do, needed to go on Gaiam TV or create a TV show or get out there in a more public way. I'm working on being comfortable being seen on that level. Oh gosh, yeah, you just hit on a discomfort point, a fractured state that's still working on being received. But thank you. Margaret, you'd like a card pull. Let's see. Let's see which cards want to talk to you. You gave me a question? Oh, about the bear. What color is the bear? He's red. He's a red bear. All right, Margaret, Ganesh wants to talk to you. Yeah, I'm human, Justine. All right, so, oh, Pam, you'd like a card pull too? Great. I'm going to try and catch all of you guys, and as you come up for card pulls, let's see, so we're on the 10th, and we're starting with a white bear. Okay, the first card pull was for Margaret. and Chris. Chris was first, then Margaret, Pam, and then Jante. I think I'm up with where the comments are. Okay, so, oh my gosh. That was an intense light. Okay, so sorry about that, guys. Sometimes my light gets a little out of control. Hi, Collie. It's good to see you in here. I love you, and I'm proud of you for joining us. Good job. All right, let's see. Margaret. Now, this is something that's been coming up, and we got it in a different deck, actually. So this is Nurture. One of the things I love about Ganesh, and you guys may have all heard me tell this story before, but how Ganesh was born. His mother wanted a baby so badly. She wanted to have a baby to love and to hold and to care for and to love her. And her husband, Shiva, he was like, no, we're not doing that. I don't want a kid. I don't want to deal with that. And he was gone a lot, right? He's a god. So he's all like, I got business. He's out there doing business. And so he, excuse me, she decided, I'm going to make my own baby. And she was in her bath, and she gathered up the bubbles of her bath, and she called in the Divine Mother and the Divine Father, called in the love that she held, and infused these bubbles that she'd shaped and molded into this baby, and made this little boy. And she loved that baby, and he grew up and he loved her, and he supported her. And so when she'd go to take a bath, he would stand guard at the door, right? And he would protect his mother while she was bathing. Well, one day, after many years, Shiva comes home, and he wants to go join his wife in the bath. And Ganesh is standing out there, and he says, no, you can't go in there. I don't know who you are. You can't go in. My mom is taking a bath. And he's like, what? Whose mom? You know, how did you even be born? I haven't been here, right? So he cuts off the boy's head and leaves him there and goes into the bath, and he's very happy with himself. But, you know, Shiva, or his mother, when she found out, she was furious. And she refused to talk to him, have anything to do with him. She's like, you better save my kid. You need to save my kid. And so in order to restore his relationship with his wife, he sent his men out to look for a particular head. And he said, you know, he gave all these decrees, like it had to be facing this particular direction and nobody could be around and blah, 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 blah. And because he didn't really believe that he wanted this. So his men went out, and the only thing they could find was this mighty warrior elephant that was sleeping and that fit the criteria. And so they cut off his head and brought it back. And Shiva attached this elephant's head. Well, suddenly Ganesh became even more amazing and full of all this joy and excitement and passion. And that's why he's the god of the remover of obstacles. And everyone loves him and brings him sweets and brings him treats and wants to support him because of what he's overcome, because of what he represents, because of who he is. So you're being called to love yourself, to love those little parts of yourself, the little girl parts, so that you can feel the magic that you came here to bring. It's time to nurture you, okay? Let's see. Hi, Clary. Good to see you. Justine, you asked if I can pull a card for your brother. Sure, Matthew. All right, so we'll get down to Matthew. Chris, we'll pull for you next. Let's see. Who wants to talk to you, Chris? Now, the Thoth Tarot. Interesting. The Thoth Tarot is an interesting deck. It's one that I take out to fairs and things with me. Not many people feel drawn to it, but when they do, it's a strong message that comes through. So Chris, this is right where you're at. I'm just gonna share this, and I'm sure you don't mind. You're pretty public about it. So Chris actually had a head injury, a pretty severe head injury, and she's been doing physical therapy, and I believe even having to have surgery and all kinds of things to heal and recover. And she just completed brain training, I think you had said. So the card that you got is the Fool. The Thoth Tarot is full of symbolism, so I'm just going to talk a little bit about the symbols that are in this card. First of all, we have these 3 circles, right? These 3 loops that are actually never-ending, and a blue heart over the chest. They're infinite circles. Oh well, we'll get to that in a minute. So these circles are representing that trifecta, the trifinity, right? And the Fool, we've talked about the Fool before, that the Fool represents that ability to not hold preconceived notions, preconceived perceptions, preconceived ideas. It doesn't need to know what's going on, it just experiences it. It's like, what is here? You know, I think we did a SpongeBob analogy, thanks to Jessie, a few weeks back about the Fool. So this part of you that has that idea, that sense, that feeling that, oh God, I don't know, let go. You're not supposed to know. You were actually given a gift by having all of that wiped out. All of those ideas of yourself, of your beliefs, of who you are, of who others believe you to be, it's just gone now. It was taken from you like a gift. Some people work their whole lives to get released from that. So you've been given the gift of being the Fool. And the Fool is actually the 0 card in Tarot. And the reason that that's important is when we look at the major arcana are broken up into these lesson states that we have to go through. The 1 being the magician, and have to learn what it is and how to be. What are the elements around me and how do I manipulate them? What happens when I put earth with fire? What happens when I add water? What are my materials to work with? The Empress, how do I manifest my ideas? How do I make them into fruition? The Emperor, how do I organize all of this stuff? Continuing forward until you get to the Tower. Oh, I've built something. Time to deconstruct it. Time to tear it down and now start again from this new space. Some other symbols that I absolutely love about the Thoth Tarot is that, first of all, there's always this blue bird. You can just see him flying into the circle. That's the raw consciousnesses. They're the blue avians. They manifest looking like a blue bird. This is why Thoth is often depicted as a blue bird man. If you are familiar with Corey Good at all, who I absolutely respect and am so grateful that he's just out there speaking his truth and his experience, they're guiding us right now. That there are so many of us who are seeing birds, who are having the birds communicating with us. We see wings in the sky. We hear messages coming through of clear consciousness. That's that raw consciousness, that raw collective guiding and speaking to us. So know that even though the Fool has no preconceived notions, it's guided. It's guided by a higher consciousness that is prepared to steer you through. And, you know, there's also a mammal, right? A reptile. There's diamonds, fire, a white bird, angelics. These are full representations. Insects. If you actually start looking into other worlds, other alien species, anything that comes from our galaxy, there's a planet where one of these kinds of species evolved as the higher species. That's why we have reptilians. That's why we have the Hathor lions. That's why we have, all of these different things. Oh, hawks and hummingbirds. Yeah, Chris. Jesse also has the hawks communicating with him. And just last night when I had my student friend over, we were talking and a hummingbird came. I was sitting by the window facing facing away from it, and a hummingbird's flying right over my head just outside the window. It's a part of it. So embrace your foolishness. It's wonderful. Such a gift. Oh, yes. So the Fool is the 0 card. He's outside of the lessons. He doesn't need to learn anything. He doesn't need to know anything. He's not starting. He's not ending. He just is. Right? So that's a beautiful, beautiful message. Hello, Gurdeep. Good to see you. And Pam, I'm so grateful that you appreciate that aspect of what I do. Okay, so let's see. The next person is Pam. And who wants to talk to Pam? Oh, the Shadowscapes Tarot. Love those. Please say something about my future and my family. I'm really scared. Well, first of all, if you're feeling scared, you need to ground and connect and recognize that the fear is our greatest motivator. That's why we create it for ourselves in our existence. You're creating the fear. So about your family, let's feel for just a second, Gurdeep. You've asked me this before. You've asked me things like, is my daughter going to be a doctor? And things like that. So what I'm getting is it's time for you to let go of the idea of what will be and start observing what is. Time to come into the here and the now. You had asked at one point, how do I begin a spiritual journey? Well, you're already on it. You're already there. Now it's time to look around, feel around. What is around me now? What can I value in that's around in what is around me? What can I find gratitude for in? And if we find ourselves doing checking out behaviors like turning to alcohol or turning to drugs or turning to food, turning to sex, turning to dysfunctional relationships, turning to whatever it may be, instead of looking at what's around us, then it's really time to pause and to come back into the center. So take some time grounding and connecting. That's my best advice for you right now. All right, Pam. Yeah. Oh, interesting. Okay, I'm going to feel this for just 1 second before I start talking about it. Okay, it looks like you're going to have some business stuff coming up. The King of Pentacles, he is, do you have a male business partner, or are you possibly getting a new business partner that has holds a strong masculine kingship energy? What's popping also in my mind is Lorelei Shimiano. She's a intuitive eye reader. And she talks about how we each have these personality types. And I think she, if I recall correctly, I don't know her work, I'm not super familiar with it, but she has 6 different personality types, and we each as individuals hold 3 of them. 1 is a more dominant and 2 is a lesser dominant. So let me just feel this. Yeah, okay, so in business, it's time for you to bring out the part of yourself that's the king. The king knows that he's in control and in control of his environment. I wasn't getting a yes on an individual, that's why I asked about it. So it's time for you to be your own king, not the queen who asks the king for permission or who turns to the king when the king is the ruler, but to be that ruler in your business and to really start to pull out your kingship qualities. I'm hearing, and we just had 3 crows fly past the window. I'm hearing that there's a part of you that's still waiting for permission to be that dominant authority space, even though you know that's your job, that's your role, you're a leader. And I think that the part of it is in relationship to business. Maybe, let me feel, it's not money, it's more in control of the physicality of your business. It reminds me of a woman that I work with, and she's pretty amazing, and she's a total king. So, for instance, we were all deciding we were going to have a business meeting, right? And we're all like, okay, we're going to try and bring the psychic gallery, the intuitive gallery, and figure out how to make it more known, bring it out, because there's some pretty amazing intuitives and psychics that are there. So we were planning this business meeting, and we were going to do it after doing one of the galleries because we're already all together and we have really busy schedules. So we're trying to figure out where we're going to go eat at. And it's like 9:30 at night, and we're in Northwest Portland. So in Northwest Portland, pretty much, unless it's a bar or a club, the restaurants shut down at 10. And then you've got like all four of us have our own food needs, right? Like, oh, I don't eat gluten, and I don't eat this, and I don't want that, and right? So we're like, where are we gonna go? And this one woman she is a king. Like, that is her dominant. And so she says, let's go to Applebee's, and I'm like, oh, Applebee's. Because Portland has an amazing food culture. And so another woman said, well, let's go to Whiskey Soda Lounge. And I'm like, oh, I did not want to go to Whiskey Soda Lounge. I don't like their food at all, and I don't like to be around people drinking. And so I was just like, and so everything that was suggested, if I suggested something, somebody else was like, and she suggested again, how about Applebee's? And all of us are just like, Applebee's. I'm not the only one that didn't want to go to Applebee's. So we decided to, as the time is passing, and now it's like 9:45, and we still don't know where we're going to go. She suggested again, and we're all just like, oh, fine, all right. Well, we can't think of anything else. Let's go to Applebee's. So we go to Applebee's, and our waiter, first of all, was awesome. I couldn't figure out what I wanted to eat, and he just was all, I think you'd really love this. And I did. I loved it. It was awesome. It was so yummy. All of us were able to pick exactly what we wanted to eat. It was open until 1 in the morning. Well, it was actually open until midnight, but they were cleaning until 1. And it was like effortlessly and gracefully. Our table was cleared. We had nobody sitting right around us. We were up in this little tucked away corner. They left us alone for the most part. He came over only when we needed something, and came over just for that period of time. He was so supportive. They left us there. They let us stay there while they cleaned the whole restaurant. So we were actually able to completely go through everything we needed to, even personal stuff that needed to come up and go through. And I just laughed, and I was like, okay, I'm not going to resist the king anymore, because clearly the king knows, right? So there's times where you know, and nobody else is going to get it. Nobody else is going to see it. Nobody else is going to have that foresight. You need to assert it. It's time to step up and assert it, but not in a way that is oppressive, but is in a way, and that's what she did. She's just like, how about Applebee's? Oh, that's a problem. How about Applebee's, right? So it became like, oh, right, of course, Applebee's. So that's what I'm hearing for you. So we'll move forward. Let's see, we've done Chris, Pam, Jante. Let's look for cards for Jante. Oh, this is weird. Okay. Well, it's funny, Jante. I've been feeling lately like it's time to look for a new deck. And I just got their confirmation of that. So for now, this will do. But when I get my next deck, that's going to be inspired by you. Second business right now. Yeah, good. That's awesome. That's awesome. Yeah, I thought so too, Clary. I'm like, sometimes, You just gotta let it go with somebody who knows. Let them just lead. Because I'm not a king. Well, see, they corrected me. I have some king. It's just not my dominant. I think my dominant is priest, if I remember correctly, according to that. Lorelei's. I'm gonna have to ask her. Oh, so Jante, it is time to get your butt out there into nature. You got see yourself in nature. It's time to go out, spend some time walking in the forest, maybe even sleeping on a big grassy patch, hugging some trees. It's time to get yourself out there. See yourself out in nature. It beckons you to remember that you are nature. I'm actually being reminded of, do you guys remember the gorilla Keiko that was taught all of these, all the sign language that could speak? There's a video that's going around of Keiko, and he's talking about how humans have, that Keiko is nature, that flower is nature, that animal is nature, but that man is not nature, is forgotten that they're nature. So it's time to start seeing yourself as a part of that whole system instead of as this individuation that's separate from in some way. And that doesn't necessarily mean like the environmentalist concept. It means more, I drew from the Messenger deck. Oh, the Messenger Oracle deck by Raven Felon. I really like that deck. You know, another deck that I like, if you're looking for Justine a new deck, this one my sister has. It wasn't for me, but they're wanting me to show it to you. Nature's Whispers Oracle cards. This one is by Angela Hartfield and Josephine Wall. An amazing deck. A beautiful deck, and its symbolism is just so powerful. Here's kind of the back where it shows some of the other cards. I'm trying to get it so you can see it. So yeah, that's a deck that's calling to you. Okay, so let's see. Jante, get outside. Get outside if you can find a waterfall. I know you're in France, so it might be a little bit more challenging, but just take a train, take a weekend, and go out somewhere. Get out there. You're being called, being beckoned to go and play. Okay, thank you guys. Thanks, Justine. Thank you, Clary. Okay, Matthew. Justine, you asked me to pull a card for your brother, Matthew. Let's see what wants to come out for him. Yeah, the Toth wants to talk to him. Okay, so this is one of those times we have cards that we call jump cards, right? So sometimes when you pull out the deck, like one card doesn't come, and that's what just happened. And this is totally his card. So the Voyager deck is beautiful and quite easy to intuit from. Far out. I'll check that out. I haven't heard of the Voyager deck, Chris. Okay, so Matthew. Yeah. Your card is adjustment. Now, in normal, right? In tarot decks that we're used to, judgment, this is actually called judgment, which is what we were talking about earlier about judgment and how critical it is. This is, oh wait, I'm sorry, not judgment, justice. Excuse me. So, and judgment is a part of justice. They're right next to each other in the Arcana. In this one, it's the 8 card. So justice, the weighing of things. It looks like you have a decision to be made or perhaps something to be let go of, and you're trying to understand how important is this? How much weight do I give this? How does this serve actually? Is this serving? One of the things I love about the Toth Tarot is the symbolism. So she has, I don't know if you can see it, but she's wearing a cloak of feathers. And the balance, exactly, Clary. She's wearing a cloak of feathers. So she is guided by higher knowledge, higher information. Surrounding her are blue and green spheres. Now, the blue spheres are used by the blue avians. They're used by the raw consciousness. Oftentimes, people, when they're seeing energy in its most purest form, it appears as a blue sphere. And green spheres represent the heart energy, that heart love, that loving energy. So it's balancing our knowing, our speech, and our heart. Really these higher chakras, allowing that intuitive guidance to come through as well as your heart guidance, and to find the balance between what you feel torn between these two separate things. And, you know, in between she has a sword. Now, swords in Tarot, they represent the mind and the intellect and air as an element. And the reason that they do is because a sword is something that's crafted. It's honed. It's made over time. It's layer upon layer of metal, heated to extremes, cooled and tempered, bounded out, shaped, honed, sharpened. So your experiences, the space between these two things, have honed and sharpened your mind and your ability, your intellect. So they have value, but now it's time to balance them instead of to allow them to be going from hot to cold, this temperance, this, those two extremes. So that's what I'm getting for you there. Now we have 15 minutes left. What do you guys want to do? Do you want to do a meditation, or do you want to continue doing pulls and questions and answers? I'm going to let you guys tell me. And then I'm just going to look back and see if I missed anything. And I'm definitely going to look at the Voyager deck. And thank you, Clary. I love my decks. I've been collecting them for many years. I think I've gotten everything. Jesse, did you get kicked out? Oh, I'm not scared, Gurdeep. I thought I saw something come through. I'm not scared of my offspring. I worry only about me. My family members are very good at their own. So what are you worried about with you? What is your fear with you? Let's see. Oh, Emerald Tablet. Okay. So one of the things, and I know you're reading the raw stuff too, so you're getting it from there, but it's also, there's many other resources. So the Emerald Tablet, apparently it's in the Vatican right now. Yeah. And the Emerald Tablet is an emerald crystal that holds ancient knowledge and information. It was used in Atlantis as well, and when Atlantis fell and destroyed itself, it came into Egypt, and the Thoth consciousness, or the raw manifestation of Thoth, was the keeper of that tablet, of that knowledge. And for a time, they taught humans what it was to use this information, and it holds all this knowledge and information. Now, we can actually access the Emerald Tablet from wherever we are and wherever it is. It's a matter of tuning your consciousness into the frequency of it. So if you want to do so, and you're feeling drawn to the Emerald Tablet, I have spent time meditating with it. You want to, either pull up a picture of an emerald, or visualize or imagine what you think that looks like. It's probably going to look a little different than what you think it does, but once you tune into it, it'll clarify. It shows itself pretty clearly. So I'm not going to tell you what it looks like, because that would create a preconceived notion, and it would be my filter's perception of it, right? So, let's see. Yeah, so it holds knowledge. It holds knowledge about organizational structure. It holds information about tunements and energy, and how to use it for healing, and how to use crystalline consciousness and crystalline structure. We used to have a much greater knowledge of these things, and we are becoming crystalline beings. It's the reason that the energy that's coming through is this prismatic rainbow crystalline energy. So yeah, that's what's coming through for me right now. Chris, you did tell me your real name is Crystal, and that's awesome. Okay, not sure if you have, I don't know why the light keeps doing that. Let's try to get it. There we go. Sorry, guys. I'm not sure if you have a take on this, but my home feels like a vortex for stuck energy, like keeping my vibration low, pulling me down, stagnant, cementing me even. Okay, let me just feel into your home for a minute, Justine. So your home does have a vortex energy there that's present, but you're not using it. It's not active. It's a clogged drain. So imagine your house. Let's just visualize your house, the whole house. And just take a moment to see it. And imagine you have a big giant plunger. And you're going to take that plunger, my husband calls plungers brahmasters. Gurdeep, you can laugh about that. And so imagine that you've got this big plunger and you're just going to plunge that drain of that vortex. Just plunge it out. Get the energy going through it again. And flow. Flow it through. And anytime you start to feel that stuck energy, you're going to pull out that God's brahmaster plunger and you're going to plunge that drain. Because a vortex, if it's not being maintained, if it's not, and I say this loosely, vortexes once upon a time were effortlessly maintained. We clog them. We shift them. We build over them, confine them, adjust them by what we build over them. So imagine that you have this beautiful swirling vortex of energy and flow that energy through it. If you still are struggling with this, we can do a session around your house and really around your relationship with your house. You're the worker in the house, right? It's your space. There's a reason you are drawn to it. So we would need to do that in a session if you wanted to do that. But I think that'll get you going. Go ahead. I'm glad that you've been drawn into it, Jesse. Do vortexes spin in the opposite direction down under? Yes. Toilets do too. It's the other side of our magnetic pole. What else could they do? They're affected just like we are. All right, so do we have any other questions? Did I miss any questions? I'll just scan back real quick and check. What is your house number, Justine? I'm curious too. I want to put out there, I haven't smudged lately. Sometimes you burn Palo Santo. Okay. Oh, 2205. Interesting. So another thing you can do, well, they're calling to me, so I'll pull them out. This is 2 pieces of sap that are from my last sweat experience, and they're from the tree that we used to burn to heat the rocks for our sweats. And I brought them back. Oh my God, they smell so good. You guys have probably seen me use these before. So we'll just take a moment, and Justine, just tune into this cleansing, clearing energy of the sap of this tree. It's a cedar tree. I'm going to smell it to try and send that smell to you. And imagine that the smoke of the cedar, the smoke of sage is flowing through the house, cleansing and clearing. Sage works, cedar works. I'm hearing vetiver might work really well. We're just going to flow this energy through the home. Smoke it clear and see if we can't clear it a little bit more for you. And we can all support her if we choose to. And if you want to feel what it feels like to work with others, tap into the energy that we're all now sending towards this space, clearing and activating that vortex. I'm also sensing, Justine, there was some fear from your young man and your older man in the house about the power and energy they were feeling. And so that was a part of what shut down the vortex in the first place for you guys. And it was before as well. So let's just support them and make sure they feel safe and secure. And know that flowing energy is far more powerful and safe. Thank you, Clary. She says 9 house spiritual groups attracted, people coming and going, travel, books, music, universal love. Beautiful. My house number's 11. Well, it's 731. Ah. See how powerful this group is? Jesse's picking up there's a shadow or shade created by the fear that hangs out there. So let's just imagine the light is shining. See all this light? See how it just amplified as we bring in the light? Shining that light even more. And imagine, just like you have a great big spotlight, you're going to take it through every room of the house. I love this group. You guys are friggin' amazing. Awesome group of people. Shining that light, spotlight through, and as it goes through, it's just releasing the shadows so they can go and be a part of the whole creation instead of be stuck somewhere, called in, held. We're going to shine that shadow on your boy and on your husband and on anyone else who comes in the space that's ever felt a fear or overwhelmed. We're going to allow that house to call who's supportive for it. You, for them. Call those things in. Call in the angelics, your galactics. Call in your support team to come and fill the house with love and support and energy and light. As we all shine love and light too. The shadow feeds on the fear. Starve it with love. When you start to feel fear, start to feel disconnection, try to love it, right? Just like if we found this little kid on the side of the road that's never known love, that's like a feral child, we just love it. Even when it's reacting, even when it's acting poorly, even when it's acting out or striking, we still show it love until it learns to receive love. One of my friends visualizes a heart and puts the heart in the center of the shadow and expands the heart until it's bigger than the shadow, transmuting the shadow into a being of light. All right. What a great Friday, you guys. So I'm going to just quickly give you a few notes. The full moon is this weekend. It's our, what is this? This is our 3rd full moon, I think. Let me see. The peace and healing, it's the 4th full moon of this year. The full moon is going to be in Aries on the 27th. So yeah, This is time to bring in that peace, that healing. This month is going to be a lot more restful. We just had some intense, serious upgrading energy that came through. Yes, that was. Thank you, Justine. And wasn't that awesome, Jessie? That was a really good feeling. All of us focusing in that way together. I love that you guys contributed and supported and helped figure out how to steer it. And Justine, your house is, whew, that feels really good. I might need to come over for some tea sometime. Okay, so all right. So yes, this weekend it's a full moon. This is the time to allow the energy of the moon to pull, right? To pull out everything you're ready to release. We just had a major upgrade. That means our cells are shifting. Everything is changing inside of our vessels. Allow that moon energy to pull that stuff out and support you in releasing it, okay? It is a super powerful time when we're in the full moon and the new moon. These both are great for us. It's also a time of reflection. So when we're out and we're interacting with people, you know, people get a little crazy around the full moon. It's also because they're reflecting so much more off of each other. So you're kind of like amplifying each other. So recognize that that's going on, that the moon is kind of beckoning you to really see the truth, to illuminate yourself around the truth of this issue. So a lot of people are probably going to have some shadow work coming up. That's why we talked about it in the beginning and how to really understand what's happening when we're seeing those fractured states in the people around us. I love you guys. It's 11:01. It's the perfect time to come to a close. I hope you have awesome weekends. I hope you have a powerful meditations, powerful enlightenments, and I hope that you laugh your ass off this weekend. I don't care how, I don't care what it takes, even if you have to fake it until it becomes ridiculous. I want you to have a redonkulously huge laugh, because I'm going to go spend some time with people that I laugh my ass off with, and I'm going to be laughing, and I'm going to be crying, and I'm going to be sweating, and I'm going to be reflecting, and I hope you all can have something close to the same. I'll see you guys on Monday. Mwah. I love you. Bye, everybody. And Michelle, I can't wait to hang out with you. Mwah. All right, bye, guys.